All right, being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Coos Bay City Council meeting to order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. First item on the agenda is public comments, and I think we have some people signed up, or some, at least one. No, we have a few. Okay. So before we start the public comment period, I will read this information. Citizens wishing to address the city council during this time set forth for the public comments are requested to sign in, which you did. The public comment period is intended for the public to share ideas and concerns. It is not intended for the interactive discussion with the council. There may be opportunities for public comments during specific agenda items that require a public hearing. Members of the public are requested to confine their remarks to questions or issues under discussion during this time. During any designated comment period, individuals shall not engage in personal attacks, shall not impugn the motives of any speaker, and shall at all times while the session conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. No person shall make personal, impertinent, slanderous, or unauthorized remarks or become boisterous while addressing the council. With that the case, we have Joey Hart. Just come up, give us your name and what city you reside in, please. There's a 3-minute time, and our city attorney is the timekeeper.
Oh, I thought I had 5 minutes. Oh dear. Okay. Let me just get to the top of this. Okay. Well, I'm here to see because, I'm sorry, my name is Joy. And my address is 1465, or actually my address is 1475 Newmark Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here this evening because my neighbor's dog was stolen and is probably dead. And 4 months ago, the dog was poisoned and died. 3 months in January, my house was vandalized and sewer system is not working. My toilet doesn't work. Sunk kitchen sink. This is a form of ongoing destruction and has been about the last 3 years. And I have done everything in my power to stop. Attack because of this situation. I'm trying to deal with the city to get some for 3.5 years. Still having to deal with my property being vandalized and my dogs being killed. Now, she has a cat and we have a cat. How many more do we have to wait until our and so when we get some help from the city about this? Because come sooner. I don't have anybody on camera. For somehow I'm a person, I don't know how, but I'll jam the cameras. And but there are 4 different ways to hack into a ring camera and split up the feed. 4 different ways. So this is what I've been doing this. And I don't. So please. Please. I don't know how you can help. I don't know what at this point. Person, I was a certified fitness trainer and this instructor. Jack, that's not reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorry for your issues and problems. I believe that I've had some information that we have received, at least I have, I think, from the police and our city manager. So I'll ask them to give us a report and give us the information and we can review it. All right? Thank you. Yes, I do. Thank you. Christine Moffett. Good afternoon, Christine. We missed you this afternoon.
It's a hard act to follow. I bring joy today.
Good.
I have some handouts. It's less than a month away for the Oregon Coast Music Association's annual festival, the 47th festival. We are reviewing our poster that just was printed today. I'm going to leave this for your office. And our theme is through music, and it is really incredible. That can communicate through music. I highlight just a few of the sponsors that we've had, foundation sponsors this year, so lots of kind help from businesses and organizations in town. And I hope that to enjoy some of this and join us for these events. We have orchestra director, music director, Martin Kitt. He's and he has just some amazing talents to the table, including some. Johnson will be here again throughout the festival, helping with educational programs. Dotsy Gregory, it's her name now. Cello Concerto, First Orchestra, and she is from Langlois. So it is have this kind of talent. Plus, we're highlighting some local groups that have been in performing for years. So please take advantage of this opportunity. Join if you're not a association. Every member counts and supports. And we look forward to seeing you there in July. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. This is a wonderful festival that's been going on for a long period of time, and I'm glad to see you carrying it on with all the other things that you participate in. And as you said, some locals, I see that Aaron Johnson will be also at the festival, which was Joanne Verger's grandson, and which was mayor, state representative, and state senator. So anyway, it's great. What a wonderful opportunity we have. And I have to pause when people say there's nothing to do, in this area. And we have this and many other things that go on. So thank you very much for your time on this.
I'm just going to add one more thing if
Sure.
I can. And we are calling this the Tanglewood of Ord.
Very good. Thank you. Dean Lundy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'm right at the big guns tonight.
You haven't done that in the past?
Well, I got ChatGPT.
Okay. Oh,
And I wrote the prompt.
all right.
Find a bunch of words to express my frustration of trying to convince city planners and ODOT highway planners about my frustration and fear crossing 4 lanes of highway. I've been trying to convince organization, transportation, and that the highway or street or going through town is too fast and it needs a crosswalk, then I run in the middle of something. But I just to express my frustration, fear, and it's complicated. Crossing the street, sometimes kind of almost to convince people to look at this as the prompt. It sounds dangerous intersection, lack of intersection. Please give me a list of words that would explain how to convince people to take this seriously. So that's the computer says. So happy. When you're trying to convey urgency, frustration, and fear to city or highway planners, strong, clear, and emotional resonant words can help move the needle. Here's a categorized list of phrases you can use in letters, public comments, petitions to help amplify my concern and our action. Is to convey frustration, exasperated, fed up, exhausted by inaction, stonewalled, so rounds. That's the sound. That's a loss today. Frustration. That's to cover danger or agency. Right threatening, hazardous, high risk, fatality waiting to happen, an accident zone, unacceptable, unsafe, a death trap, unprotected, treacherous, a ticking time bomb, emergency level concern, unforgivable oversight. That's words to convey the fear, I guess. We should describe street highway conditions. Overbuilt, too fast for pedestrians, lacking pedestrian infrastructure, no safe refuge, car dominated, hostile town walkers, bikers, and wheelchairs, unmarked, crosswalks, no signage, lack of traffic calming for speed, safety, barrier to community connection. Stop express further experience crossing Florence. I think my life over to the cross. I took my breath when I tried to cross. I backed up on one side of the road. Children and elders are in constant danger. It's terrifying. In fact, I'm going forever. I don't know what that means. With my mouth. I'm avoid walking here because I'm afraid every crossing pass I can handle. I wish to emphasize solutions and needs.
Time's up, Dean.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is too long.
It goes on.
That's the knowledge of man. I hope one of the words got to somebody.
Well, I think this council probably can relate to a lot of those words that you just conveyed, sitting up here and dealing with things. But, you know, Dean, I understand the frustration that you've brought up more than once. And the thing is I can't believe that Chelsea, our city planner, is not someone that we can work with. I think that she would try to do it. But having the funding for the infrastructure and dealing with state agencies are difficult at times, as you know and aware. I think many of us up here would love to find a different way of things happening.
This is ODOT's responsibility.
Well, I know, and I walk across 101 frequently, and I think a lot of us do up here. And so we understand. I wish there was a quick resolve, but I don't think
We've
there's.
had one fatality, speeding fatality, and one T-bone the other day.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, and I'm sure
And that
our chief,
hasn't even started.
and our chief is very much aware of it, and so is our public works. And so anyway, Mike, you're up. Powder. I hope you don't have a list of words, do you?
Oh, I don't know. Too bad. I don't think I could compete with that. Mike Powder, and the house is just like a building. One of the things I figured, in North Bend and Coast Bend, there's about 3 miles, I think you will probably spell that. 3 miles. At 35 miles an hour, it takes 40 minutes to do it if you say it, 45. At 30 miles an hour, which is what it should be, it takes 6 minutes. It's 2 minutes. That's what our lives are worth, is 2 minutes. So, sometimes I've got the speed zone manual, so I'm trying to understand how they think on these things. And frankly, this stuff goes back to the 60s. They probably got it from Eisenhower or something like that. How they figure out these limits and stuff. So I'm waiting for that. And of course, I'm staying in touch with the state and all my guys as citizens. A lot of other people, but all that T-bone wreck outside Tremont, and lists of comments on the Facebook page on that. We need a stop sign there, it's too fast, we need to be told to slow down, this, that, and the other. And then somehow we'll get in touch with the city and talk to the city. So I don't know if ever people have a door if they just make a noise on it. But anyway, sticking with it. We're not gonna go away.
Thank you. I think that I've referenced before, and you know, that we're, our hands are tied in a lot of these instances. So Nicole, didn't we talk about this, speed and, situation with ODOT, and didn't you or somebody contact them?
Yeah, we actually recently started meeting with them quarterly, and this is a topic that's on their kind of radar, as well as the crossing that you're talking about, that you had been talking about at Market, Mark Avenue. I mean, they're looking at several things. Just a reminder that they're government and they're a higher government than we are, and we might move slow. So we'll need to factor in that increased level. But they are here meeting with us and our team regularly.
So that's a good
quarter,
start.
so.
Meeting quarterly, and meeting with staff is a good thing. So
Great, okay, thanks.
thanks, Mike. All right, that's it on the list. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak that's not on the list? You're more than welcome to do so. Hearing that, I'll close the public hearings and we shall move on to the rest of the meeting. The next item is consent calendar. Council, we have a consent calendar before us. How would you like to proceed?
I'd like to ask a question about one
Sure,
of the
absolutely.
items. It's the supporting the TGM code assistance application for the Coos Bay Walk Bike Connect bicycle and pedestrian plan. This just came up. Many of you might know I'm part of the bicycle and pedestrian fact finding committee, which has been I don't know if you would call it a subcommittee. But it's a kind of an offshoot of the Parks Commission. In part because the Parks Commission was struggling to find the capacity to really deal with the multimodal transportation systems plan in regards to the bicycle and pedestrian part of it. And there's been some confusion about the direction of which we were supposed to go because of this came up, and it's a grant to basically help us build a citywide plan, strategic plan that addresses these issues. And I guess that there was I needed to ask some questions on behalf of that committee as to what our direction would be. And this might not be the time for it, but I just kind of wanted to call to the question of, as a fact-finding commission, are we supposed to be working on this, like providing facts for a master plan for bicycle and pedestrian fact finding, or are we gonna push that off to another organization that would be doing these things? It was just kind of a question as to what we are finding facts for at this point now. Because
Yeah, if you've,
Okay, I'll see if I can answer your question.
yeah, it's a tough one. I have a lot of questions. We don't want to get too deep into it.
So what we're doing is from the Parks Commission levels, we're bringing issues to the commission. And then it was staff's understanding that the commission was going to decide which ones to pass on to the Bike and Ped Fact Finding Committee.
Mhm.
With respect to this grant, this is just permission to apply for the grant.
Gotcha.
And if I know about the ODOT process, they're going to want us to get a project management team together. And then at that time, we can decide if there's going to be Parks Commissioners or subcommittee members.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you for the clarification.
you got it.
All right.
Is that amount that we're asking for? I don't see an amount in here. This is, we're asking for a grant.
there is an amount, but traditionally I think they're between 75 and 100.
Okay. All right, good.
Well, I also just want to say that there's a lot of support for assistance, so that's good. We're just struggling to find the direction, so that really helps. Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions on the consent calendar?
Motion to accept the consent calendar is presented with clarification from Counselor Matthews.
Second.
We would second it to us, accept the consent calendar as submitted. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. 4A, presentation, Luke Pike, District Manager of Wastewater Connections, implementation of the Recycling Modernization Act. It looked pretty intense when I looked at it.
It's not meant to be.
All right, well,
It's meant to do this.
I hope you guys have it all figured out.
That we do not.
Well, see, I guess my point should be well taken here.
Well, I'm Dan from Case Face Sanitary. I'm here with Luke. We're here to share with you the Recycling Modernization Act and what that entails, and just try and get you guys up to speed with that. And I'll let you go.
What do you?
You don't say to answer any questions.
Okay, you should stand up here and articulate something if you see it.
Yeah. Okay, so, I don't know how much, this is just meant for a quick, just to be informative. And then at the end, like Dan said, we're here to answer any questions. This is a big state project, and this doesn't just affect our area, it affects the whole state. So, back in 2022, DEQ, or the state legislation, passed an act called the Recycle Modernization Act. And what this my buttons toast. There we go. So what the Recycle Modernization Act is about is to get everybody in the state of Oregon on the same page. So what you had was all the different municipalities in the state of Oregon all had different programs. All the haulers picked it up a different way. They accepted different material, and you have people moving in from different cities, and everything's was basically a mess. So what this is going to simplify recycling for the whole state. They call it, before it was called wish cycling. So you would throw it into a bin, and as a customer, you just hope that you put it in the right spot, and hopefully it ends up where it ends up. And the problem with that is it never does. It ends up where it shouldn't end up, and that's what we want to get away from. The other part of this is getting producers to create the right packaging to be able to recycle. So before, companies were making packages whatever they wanted to, not a recyclable material, selling it in the state of Oregon. Starting July 1st, the packaging will have to be a recyclable material in order to sell in the state of Oregon. So we'll touch a little bit more on that later. Also, better access for everybody. So there's going to be more, actually in our area, there's still going to be, the West Coast recycling, that depot will be there. There'll be advancements and things to make it easier for people. Education and outreach. The state's going to provide the education, so everybody's on the same education level. The same material is going out statewide to every city. So there's not going to be, right now, Dan might have something that he sends out, then I have something that I send out. It's basically the same material, but it's a different look. It's a little bit different information. Now it's all going to be the same, statewide.
Yeah.
And also, the last part of that is this law and this program it's just starting, and it's going to keep evolving, but it's allowed to evolve, and it will keep growing into, we don't know where this is going to go. So what do we take now? Just real quick, just, cardboard, mixed papers, plastics, 1s and 2s, and tin cans. It's pretty basic. It's been that way for a long time. It's pretty much what everybody knows. What's going to change? So apparently right now you get your recycle picked up weekly in a little 18-gallon bin. That is going to go to a 96-gallon roll cart, picked up every other week. And that's going to be statewide. That's kind of what everybody's adopting. So there'll be some challenges that we will have to work through. Dan and I will have customers that, maybe can't fit the 96-gallon in their garage and things like that. We'll have to work through. It's change. So it's something that we do. The beauty of this is the service area that 18-gallon bin takes up is the exact same as what the cart takes up. It's just, there's a, height difference. So you won't be able to shove it under a shelf, but if it's going to go in your garage, it's literally going to pick up the same space in your garage. So what's changing on the material? So, this was kind of the big change. We're going to start accepting more material, small pieces of metal, pots and pans, aluminum trays, plastic tubs, the milk cartons that are has that plastic film that will be recyclable. That was always a big question. People never knew whether they should put that in there or not. So that will also be recyclable. Plastics number 5. So it's 1, 2s, and 5s. Cereal boxes, that was always a question. Ones, pizza boxes. You know, pizza boxes have always been kind of a, you know, an iffy one, like, oh, you know, if the recycle needs to be clean. If it's not, then it's not recyclable. Okay, so there's never been a load that got turned away because of some grease on a pizza box. So, you know, that's with discretion. The pizza boxes, there's going to be grease in them. It is what it is, but it's really good cardboard and it can get turned right back into more cardboard. What's not included? So, plastic garbage bags. You know, batteries, food, and you would think people wouldn't put that in there, but I mean, I think Dan can attest.
But see, I think even some of these food containers that we're taking now, all these plastics,
Yeah,
they always have a little food in them.
yeah,
They're gonna take that.
they're gonna take
They're
it.
gonna take it where before it was really, don't do that. And you really wanted them to rinse them and clean them and do all the effort. They're gonna take those, you know, so that's kind of, so there's a little bit, but they don't want food waste.
Not just,
You know,
straight food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plastic bags, it's always been a questionable one. You know, people think, oh, it's plastic. Why can't it go in there? Well, usually what happens, all these things, they get tied up in the machines during the process of recycle, and that's actually one of the main reasons why they don't want it. Hoses, I don't know why anybody thinks a garden hose is recyclable, but thousands of people do. We'll skip to that one. So where does it go? It's always the question. You put it in the bin, we take the bin, and then you never see it again. So, and nobody ever knows what happens to it, right? So this is where most of what you will be putting in, where it'll go. So any metal that comes in will get sorted through from this area. Most will go to Pacific Recycling in Eugene, where in turn it'll get turned into more metal, not just beams and car parts. It'll get turned into all kinds of stuff. Some of that will also go to Portland to Metro and the same process. The plastics, so plastics and paper will end up, and most likely most of it will go to Pioneer Recycling in Portland, and from there on they will separate everything. That's a big, huge facility in Portland. They'll take everything, separate everything, and then they ship it out to different markets. Most of which will stay in the United States. And years ago, it used to go to China and then all over, you know, across the oceans. But now most of it will stay in the United States. So pretty cool. Cardboard's the same thing. There really no change there. Our cardboard from here will go to Eugene and then shipped to Toledo, where it gets made into new cardboard. So who pays for all this? So this is part of the Recycle Modernization Act. When you switch to a cart, you know, someone has to pay for that cart. And then also we have to, you know, get a truck to pick up that cart. And you know, when you roll out this new program, it all costs money, right? So this is how this whole program works. It's called a producer responsibility organization. They call them PROs. So those are companies that are selling products here in the state of Oregon. They have to pay into a fund in order to sell their product in the state. And that fund will then fund this program, most of it. It won't fund all of it, but it is planning on funding any new trucks that will need to be bought to do the program. All the carts will all be funded through these businesses that are selling their products, which in turn helps, you know, the customers and the residents of Coos Bay. They won't have to, you know, we're still working through a lot. There may be some increased cost to the customer for for the ongoing part. This is just, it just simply funds the setup. But, you know, we still have maintenance on the truck. You still have a person that you've got to hire to run this, you know, things like that, but it'll be, you know, really minimal, if anything. So the whole kit and caboodle is everybody working together, and that's really the whole goal. So you have the producers, the people that are selling their packages here, making the right packaging that can be recycled. Then you have the customers putting it in the right spot, following the rules. We'll keep our fingers crossed with that one. Then there's the haulers, you know, we collect it and then disperse it to the right places. And then the end markets where it actually, you know, the real magic happens. It gets turned into something usable again. That's how it's supposed to work. This is a big process. We're working with the DEQ and a side company called the CAA. We love it. It's super fun. Dan really loves the emails that we get that are 6 pages long. It does start July 1st, but there's no funding yet for these carts and the trucks. So, you know, really in our area, it's not really starting July 1st. It's just, that's when the money is going to start being collected from these companies. The process starts. We're really looking at like a 2026 to 2027 when you'll start to see carts and things rolled out to the community and the program really takes off. The last part is the education portion. There's just an example up there of what the state has. Everybody will have the same education. This was really actually my favorite part of this whole thing. This is really actually cool. There's a website that we have a login and we'll go to. We can select the education that we want to send out. They will ship it to us any way we want to do it. And we get it out to the residents, and it's the same material everybody else has. And it's super easy to read. It's pictures. Everybody loves pictures. So it should be really easy to follow, you know, and it's just, honestly, this is about the only thing that simplified our lives, probably.
Yeah.
At this point, we're really up here for any questions you guys might have.
Council questions?
It's awesome. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be, the recycling that you are accepting, will that start on July 1st, or is that not going to roll out until we get carts?
That's a good question. So so we are not going to be required to. The education part is going to start this year. And some of the material it's going to come, we're going to accept it, but really we're not going to push for that until we get the carts. It's going to be hard to take on more material in that same little bin.
Yep. Absolutely.
I guess I would say with, you know, we're following the DEQ and they're working through this as they're going. So there's a lot of unknown questions that we're getting answered coming in, you know, so, but like you says, it's a year or two before full implementation, but it's going to continue to evolve, and we'll continue to be in here giving updates and letting you know where we're at, but that's what's up and coming. And
well, it's great.
So you mentioned to do business here, they have to have a certain kind of packaging that is recyclable. Is that going to be the case for imported products?
It's a good question too. I don't actually know the answer to that. I would assume so.
Well, I would hope so. I mean,
to be anything sold in the state of Oregon is supposed to have the proper packaging.
Okay.
And they're supposed to pay into the fund.
Okay. Well,
I don't know what that version is, but
there's a lot of working parts to this.
Sure.
Different agencies. I mean, there's new ones coming in. We're getting lots of emails and just coming, and it's starting to move, you know, and we're starting to gain clarity as we go. So, you know,
so hopefully all gets taken care of. I know that you mentioned that it will evolve, and so, but that's the intent, is that everything that comes in here, no matter if it's imported or not, will be recyclable.
That's the goal.
you know, the big thing is a statewide list where everybody in the state, whether you're in Powers, Oregon or Portland, can recycle the same material.
Right.
That's the goal. Everybody gets a big receptacle and that's, you know, and that's where that's where it's going. Yeah.
No, I think it's great to recycle. I think it's wonderful. So the other thing is, how are you going to help the commercial businesses recycle? These totes or whatever aren't going to be enough for some businesses. How's that work?
So it's a good question too. I didn't bring that up. Yeah, but that is part of it too. So residentially that's kind of the focus first. And then it's going to go to the commercial side too. So it'll be where you could fit a container. They'll get, if you have a 4-yard container, you might get a 6-yard cardboard, we call them cages.
Yeah.
As long as you can fit it. If you can't fit it, then it'll be carts. But they'll get it too. Yeah. Same with multifamily, any apartment complexes.
Yeah.
That'll all be started
Worked
up
on.
too.
Yeah, a lot of these cardboard only bins they'll just be able to take all this material.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, so we'll be adding those where they can, but those are big and there's a lot of places that don't have room.
Right.
But we can get them multiple times a week and so on and so forth,
Okay.
So.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Troy.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just curious because you're going to be replacing the carts. But what happens with the stuff that can't be recycled? Will there still be cans available? Will you be picking those up? How does that work for folks? Residential.
You mean for the
Trash.
they'll have their same trash cart.
Okay.
Some people, if you're not an avid recycler and you become that, you may even be able to, downsize what cart you have now. If you're not recycling, if you currently are, you probably won't be able to change.
No.
But your trash side doesn't really change that. It's just adding a way of accepting more recyclable material.
And I guess one other note would be, that's one thing that we're not 100% sure on, but I think we're gaining clarity, is glass recycling residentially. Since we've been doing it since 1991 when it started, the DEQ is leaning towards continuing that. So people basically take their current bin and just use that as a glass only bin, and will continue to take the glass residentially in the bin. And then they'll have the cart for all the commingled stuff. And I think that's most likely what's going to happen.
There's some gray.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like that's what would be the preferred
route.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think you answered my question because I'm not the guy that has 3 bins and separated it all out. So essentially you just said most of us are going to go into one bin, but glass will potentially still be separated.
glass, yeah, they're not gonna want the glass in
That bin.
commingled bin.
Okay.
But we've been taking glass residentially since 1990, so we don't really want to take that away. So we'll leave them in the bin. We'll still pick that up.
And that second question I have is, the place in Curry County as well, they do not do recycling in the routes. Will all carriers then be required to do recycling when this finally gets implemented?
So it's a good question too. So this is for populations of 4,000 and up.
Okay.
Currently. So in the future, yes, it'll probably go there, but right now they're focusing on just population 4,000 and above. And then to my knowledge, they prioritize cities. So Coos Bay, the priority A, the first priority, and that's because we just have the 18-gallon bin, where a lot of people in the state have carts already. That's why. So they're going to run through priority A's, B's, C's, D's, I think E's, and then we'll have to see where we're at. And then if they get into like the county areas where the lower populations are, and in Curry County, I'm not sure where you're talking about, but they recycle in the city of Port Orford, Gold Beach, and Brookings, and then the urban growth boundary. But beyond that, it's
So we just take it in the transfer side.
so. But that's the RMA is maybe eventually, but you're looking at probably years before Baskets.
Recycling.
Yeah.
You can already do that. All right, very cool.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks. I know it's a lot of work, I imagine, to implement this. And you again for doing this. And it's, I think, one of the reasons that we have clean air and we're so green. Just thanks. Those 6-page emails, sounds like there's a lot of them, and I'm just so grateful to you for your work. Thanks.
I echo that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon's, I believe, one of the first ones to do this, and now there's more jumping on board from what I understand, back east, so it's kind of interesting.
Nicole?
It's a great idea. I just, this is kind of a silly non sequitur. Put it in there. It's a slippery slope. But they seem to have 14 seconds.
So the part of the education outreach that the DEQ is going to require is making people good recyclers. So there'll be pictures that take pictures of the recycling when it's dumped. And if it's dirty, they'll be told you're being bad recycler, do better. They get 3, then they might not be recycled. There'll be rules. If they continue to throw garbage in it, they won't be able to do it for 6 months.
I mean, if that works, it's like
There's honestly exactly what they're going to do.
The industry has.
Yeah.
But the intent is to hopefully get the majority of the people to follow along and do it
Yes.
and participate, and you give them an avenue to do it, and that's what you're doing. So
Yeah.
great. Did you have something, Nicole?
I just wanted to add, this was pushed down to local government. It came down as our responsibility. And, but not for these folks who are like willing to hold hands and work through this. They're not lying. I get probably 5 to 6 emails a week from various organizations who are working on this. And they are not just a couple sentences. They are full emails. It's like learning a new language. There's new processes, links, and I just forward them.
Yeah.
And they are helping us make sense of how we participate in this community. So huge thanks to you guys.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, it's good to see you, even though it's occasionally, but thanks for coming.
Yeah,
And
stay tuned.
both of you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's see. Next item is some action items. Approval of the Juneteenth proclamation. Do we have anyone reading that, Nicole, or?
We did attempt several different connections and wasn't able to get somebody lined up for today. However, made some good connections with the high school, and there's a student group up there that meets. They're just out of school and we didn't organize it early enough with them. So likely they'll be with us next year. So unless someone else would like to read it, I'm happy to read it this year.
Go ahead. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So history on Juneteenth, Nicole, before Councilor Cribbins reads it.
Ready?
Oh,
Do you want to go ahead and read the history?
I certainly can.
Public proclamation.
Okay.
Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring the slaves in the Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America. And as word about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2.5 years to June 19th, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and Southwestern United States. And whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. And whereas its celebration of freedom, Juneteenth is a day that should be recognized by all Americans and remind us of their incredible capacity to heal, hope, and emerge from our darkest moments with purpose and resolve. And now,
before I jump in, the city of Coos Bay do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth in the city of Coos Bay and encourage everyone to recommit ourselves to the work of equity, equality, and justice. So with that, I need a motion and a second to approve the proclamation.
I move we approve the proclamation designating June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth.
Second.
And Nicole, you want to give us a little history that you were going to before we took off on getting the agenda?
Yeah, I do think some of that was part of the proclamation.
Right.
But so I won't maybe necessarily speak to some of the information that was there, but essentially Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and it took, that period of time before it actually made it to all areas of the United States at the time. With the signing, the United States embarked on a path to end slavery, drawing closer to the great tenet within the Declaration of Independence that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that they are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think the next little bit was already shared in relation to the delay in this information, making it specifically into Texas for Major General Gordon Granger, the end of the Civil War. I think that's about it.
That covers it.
History-wise, yeah.
So with that being the case, we have a motion and a second. Absolutely.
I'm thrilled that this council is approving this proclamation. This seems incredibly relevant given the work that the fact that we are potentially approving the proclamation that focuses on equity, equality, justice seems completely appropriate and today. So I just want to thank this council.
Absolutely. And it's something that we do annually. So, and I hope that it continues. With that being the case, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing on the use of revenue sharing funds. Approval to accept the funds would require adoption of resolution 25-23. Before I open the public hearing on this, I'm going to have Nicole give us a little bit of background on this, and then I'll open the public hearing, please. Okay, Nicole?
Yes, thank you. So the city of Coos Bay, much like many municipalities throughout Oregon, receives a portion of state revenues that are collected and they're shared out by population. As part of the local budget process, we are to get public input on how those revenues are shared. For the city of Coos Bay, those come into the general fund and they become a part of the programs that are serviced through the general fund. We are required to do that public hearing before the budget committee meeting, which was done in May. And then we also do that here before the council adopts the budget, which is proposed for you tonight. So we're asking for you to hold a public hearing, take any public comments, and then pass the resolution. That is a piece of documentation that needs to be sent in, which then provides backup for them to the state to send us those revenue amounts.
Okay, with that being the case, I'm going to open up the public hearing for the use of the revenue sharing funds. If you'd like to make a comment, this would be the time to do it. If you have a question about it, this would be the time to do it. So anyone in the audience, anyone online?
Right.
Sure, come on up.
I'd like to put in a word for the Sherrill thing from Market Street up to Mingus Park. We've done all the studies. At the last meeting, there was a resolution to ask for a no parking zone on one side of the street. I don't know the streets that much, but I think it would be easy if somebody wanted to make a motion, no parking on the north side of Commercial, and that would open up that whole bike path, because the top looks great, but then it looks ghetto from there on down.
Okay,
That's my suggestion for the money.
thank you. Excuse me.
Issue.
That wasn't to this topic, but that's all right. Anyone else want to make a public comment about the revenue sharing fund? Funds, I should say, plural. Okay, hearing that, I'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for an adoption on the, or a motion for the resolution 25-23, please. Going all at once?
I move we approve resolution 25-23 accepting state revenue sharing funds.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the funds for adoption of resolution 25-23. Is there any other comments?
I just want to clarify, is it 25-23 or 25-24?
I got 23 here.
I have 23.
The next one's,
Yeah, so thank you.
all right, with that clarification, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item is a public hearing for adoption of the Budget Committee 2025-26 approved budget. Again, we'll have a public hearing after I have Nicole give a short presentation about the budget and why we're here.
Thank you. So annually, the city goes through a process to adopt the budget, which provides us with the appropriation authority for the coming fiscal year. And that's how we provide services throughout the city. This process requires us to pull together a budget committee, which includes an equal number of citizens to city council. So we have a budget committee of 14 individuals. They meet in May over 2 meetings to discuss the budget, which is roughly 140 pages, $80 million budget for the city of Coos Bay. It's a big task. We're very thankful for those folks participating. And their goal is to review and approve the proposed budget to present to City Council for adoption. And so that's what we're doing here tonight, is we are presenting the budget that the Budget Committee approved in May for your review and adoption. There were just a few changes that were made at the Budget Committee, just moving some line items, but overall the budget was approved as presented.
Okay. All right. With that being the case, an explanation of what's going on, public hearing is going to be opened now for the Budget Committee for the approved budget for 25-26. Any comments? None online? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. So just, I really would encourage everyone to try to get involved in the Budget Committee. We also have it online. You can check it out. We get questioned about how we spend our funds. I think I would encourage every citizen to get involved and look into it. And if you have any questions after this, our city manager or city finance department can help you answer or get you those information. So anyway, with that being my comments, I'm going to ask that we have a motion for the resolution 25-24.
I move to adopt resolution 25-24 to adopt the 25-26 budget, making appropriations and levy taxes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the budget for 25-26 and approve it. Is there any other comments? I want to comment. So the council, this budget is set up there's 7 budget members at large, and then 7 from the council make up the budget committee. That budget that's set can be changed by the council. After the budget committee adopts it, can be changed, but only to a certain percentage.
Agreed.
Without a supplemental budget.
Yes, at this point, you can make minimal changes because the Budget Committee is already, and so we could backtrack and you could pull the Budget Committee back, but we just don't have enough time for that because there are publication requirements.
No, I'm not indicating.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
There is a possibility as the year rolls over, if there is a change that you see that needs to be made, we can do that through a supplemental budget.
Yeah, I guess my point is that this council just doesn't set the budget. We have a process which we involve people at large to help us do that, and it's set.
Yes, and before that even happens, the staff works on the budget for several months to pull together what the normal operating costs are and what projects that they intend to bring before you. So it's a really long, in-depth process, both internally and then externally, as we invite folks from the community to participate.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none.
I just want to thank the committee. They did such great work. And I wanted to also thank Councilor Stevenson for grateful to you. And says, I hear you about Blaylock and keep this staff focused on
I've got the pictures.
Good. So that's all I have. Thanks.
All right. So With that being the case, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consideration to adopt resolution 25-25, adjusting the sewer rate user fees. Nicole, you got all these.
Well, these are all budget related items. So yes, they are landing with me tonight. So thank you. So again, kind of speaking back to the process of the budget, we presented to the budget committee the Fund 3, the water quality fund, which is where our wastewater fees come in. We worked with our rate consultant, which reviews all of our operational costs that we're estimating for the next year, along with projects and our outstanding debt that's funded previous projects. And then he also has a forecast model, so he can kind of see where we land based on current costs and our revenues generated from our fees. So you may remember he's presented a few times in the last 6 months, and prior to the budget committee, he spoke about a recommended rate to make sure that we were covering both operational needs and outstanding debt and cover projects for the coming year. And that is at 7.5%. The budget committee approved that, and what's sitting before you is a resolution, if adopted, would be forwarded to the water board so that they can then adjust the billing rates. They are the organization that bills for sewer user fees along with the water bill for the city of Coos Bay.
And so, and this was something that was discussed even the previous year with Steve Donovan. They had anticipated that there'd be a few years in a row that we would be at this rate approximately. And so I think that's something that we need to think about. Steve Donovan does a great job. He does it every year annually and kind of does an analysis with our staff and figure out where we're at and where we're not. So I met with, today we had the mayor's walk, and Matt Hamilton was there and talking about the amount of money and income that we put into our system. He was applauding us for it, and he was asking me, and maybe some of you, maybe someone knows how much we spent in the last 5 years. He figured it was quite a few million. Any idea? Maybe like 40, 50, 60 million?
You know, if we get outside of plant 2 coming on, right, because it came in 18, we would have had that. That was 24
Okay, so
million.
if we count 2 and 1, then let's go from there.
Yeah, so we're looking at, right now, I think again, plant 1 is roughly going to be about that same amount, but we've got a few years before we're spending that. So rough guess, 40. Yeah.
Well, both sewer treatment facilities are almost 50, right? So if you do 50 plus all the other pump stations and everything else in there.
I was gonna say Kilmer used to keep track of everything that we were
We
spending.
can certainly get you that,
I think
for
we
sure.
stopped at 39 million.
Yeah, if you could, because Matt asked for it, so I think it'd be great. And I guess the point that he was making, he's a counselor for the North Bend, is that it's been unfortunate that they've been hamstrung and not been able to do that and fix their system. And hopefully they will be able to correct that and move forward. But we have done a lot, and we put a lot of money back into the community and into many jobs. And so anyway, it's a win-win for all of us. And plus it helps us keep everything clean.
I think it's important to note too that we are a unique city in that we have 2 treatment plants. We now will have 27 pump stations, and I don't know how many miles of pipe in the ground, 90.
Miles of gravity, 10 miles of pressure, and then 50 miles of storm.
I know when we go to League of Oregon Cities or in mayor conferences and you tell people that we have 2 pump stations, they look at us like, what is it? Yeah, it's like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a big task in front of us, and
very
staff does a great job. So thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions before we get a motion?
I just want to ask staff, I think I understand this, that we just talked about that 7.5% increase, which equates to a $7 increase the average.
Just a little less than $7.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. I need a motion, please.
I move that we adopt resolution 25-25, adjusting sewer user rates, charges, and fees.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 25-25, adjusting the sewer user fees. Any other comments, discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consideration we're just another pump station. Here we go. We'll make it number 27, right? Consideration to award construction contract for the pump station 27 and offsite force main project. Jennifer.
Thank you. So last November, City Council committed $4 million to the construction of a new pump station and force main. The construction of this new infrastructure will serve a 400-unit housing development located at the southern end of Lindy Lane, called Timber Cove Estates. The city executed a loan contract through the Special Public Works Fund through Oregon Infrastructure Finance Authority for $4 million that will serve as a stopgap for immediate funding of this project. Construction costs exceeding $4 million will be paid by the Timber Cove developer as detailed in the development agreement. Because the Timber Cove contractor is presently installing infrastructure, roads, electrical, storm, the on-site gravity sewer, to support the subdivision, city staff and the Timber Cove developer agreed that it would be difficult to construct the roughly 1,000 feet of force main that is located on site without causing delays to both the pump station contractor and the Timber Cove contractor. Therefore, the construction of the on-site force main, and that's again is the portion that's located within the Timber Cove property limits, will be constructed by Timber Cove for a total of $220,000. The city will reimburse the Timber Cove developer for this amount as noted in Addendum 1 of the development agreement, and the amount will contribute to the $4 million commitment. So tonight, staff is recommending council award the contract for the construction of Pump Station 27 and the offsite portion of the force main. On March, City Council approved emergency procurement for construction. Design was completed in April by the Dyer Partnership. The city received 2 bids for construction, with the apparent successful bid coming from Lassie Clifton for an amount of $347,846.10. Construction is anticipated to be completed in August 2026. Located with your staff report is also a budget summary. So with that, I can answer any questions.
Questions, council?
I just want to make sure, we're requiring the developer to build at least 150 houses. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's his phase 1, and the agreement for the pledge of for you guys approved that was to get through phase 1, which is 150 homes.
Okay, thank you.
So the other thing, Jennifer, I see this 15% contingency all the time, and we upped it from 10%, which is understandable because we were running some issues. But also, I think it might have been taken advantage of in some instances, and I understand that we're really keeping an eye on it. I applaud you for doing that. So now I just want to make sure we're talking $500,000 in contingency, which I hope that we don't need to use because we have an estimate from Dyer, who's our engineer on this. And so what's the process to make sure that happens, or how this goes about? If you can just give us a quick
Sure. Contingency is for any unknowns. This is a greenfield project. There might not be a lot of unknowns, but it's hard to know what we don't know right now, just getting into design. For Pump Station 6, which we just constructed, there were a lot of unknowns. There was underground piping that wasn't identified just because we didn't know about it. Not our infrastructure, just other infrastructure. We had a failure of the wet well. That was, unfortunately, we couldn't predict that.
Sure.
So we just go through it, make sure it wasn't part of the contract documents, and then negotiate a change order.
Okay.
However, this is a new pump station,
Right.
so we should be fairly close.
For the on-site portion, we really should be, it's the construction of the off-site force main. That's all going to be retrofit. It's all within improved streets, except for a very small portion. We've got other utilities out there. We've got our own utilities, but we know those. So there's going to be some challenges with the off-site portion of that force main.
So the oversight on this, because Dyer designed it, right? So they'll be doing the oversight plus you, correct?
So what we're doing for this, the larger portion of the project, which is the pump station and the off-site force main, is the city's acting as what we call the resident project representative. So we're going to have full on time. City staff is going to be on time seeing construction, full-time, excuse me, I didn't say that very well. And then we're going to consult with Dyer, because there's still the engineer work. They're going to review submittals. If they are change orders, we're going to bring them in to get approval as well. But that will reduce costs almost by half. And it's similar to what we're doing in Plant. We did on Plant 2.
Okay.
I have just a question or comment. Exactly what Manny was saying. I think what I'm hearing is the project's been designed and planned in such a way that if I'm bidding, I can't just bid up to the amount and then go, I didn't see this, although I knew all along I was going to have to do that, and that'd be a planned, unplanned expense. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yes, they have to bid what's on the plans, and if they missed it, they own that.
That's them. Yeah, thank you.
And then a question on the, I'm looking at the budget and the phasing. So the 15% contingency is 523,000. If it's not used, just for clarification, then there would be no responsibility for Timber Cove developer.
Correct?
Okay. So I'm sure that maybe Timber Cove might be keeping an eye on things. Oh, that's what I said. All right. So are there, the other thing I had is, that's tight here, is that they should have this done by, are we looking at?
August 2026 is what they're contractually obligated.
So how do we control the time frame, or is there a control on it? Or, I mean,
Control with the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, we have liquidated damages that we can assess if we can prove a loss. But we just let the contract guide this project.
Right. And hopefully that doesn't happen and to go smooth and it's up and going before then.
That's the hope.
All right. Any other questions? All right. That being the case, to adopt this, I need a resolution, please, or a motion.
I'll go ahead and move that we award the contract to Lasky Clifton Corporation for construction of pump station number 27 and offsite force main, and for an amount not to exceed, is that supposed to be 4,011,000?
Yes.
Which includes a 15% contingency.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to award the construction contract for pump station 27 to Lasky Clifton Corporation. Just for clarification, we had to make sure that there was experienced people in the pump station that built these. Lasky Clifton has done a few of them, or numerous ones for the city. Am I correct?
Correct. We got a list of qualified contractors from the engineer of work, the Dyer Partnership, and they were one of 7 that was invited to bid.
And so I just want to also clarify that Dyer Partnership gave us a list.
Correct.
Of specific people that we should go out and send this to, right?
Correct.
And we followed that criteria.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Is there any other comments? All right. Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. All right. Next item on the agenda is consideration to approve an addendum 1 to the professional service agreement with the Dyer Partnership for the services during construction of the pump station 27 and offsite force main project. Jennifer?
Okay. So the engineer work for the pump station 27 enforcement project, as we just discussed, is the Dyer Partnership. So currently the city has executed a professional service agreement with Dyer for services during construction for the on-site portion of the force main, and that's for $39,900. During the construction of the pump station and the offsite force main, city staff will serve as the resident project representative and consult with Dyer for engineering services. The full scope of the consultation services for this phase of work has been addressed in addendum 1, which is attached, for an amount of $178,000. And the revised amount of the contract for both phases would be $250,585, which includes a 15% contingency. Furthermore, this amount will contribute to the city's $4 million commitment per the development agreement with Timber Cove. Because addendum exceeds the city manager's signing authority, staff is bringing this to council for their consideration.
Questions for Jennifer on this? So if the project comes in without the 15% contingency it comes at 3.4, just works out like it's supposed to. Does that adjust the amount that Dyer gets paid?
Correct.
Is it on
Execute into a contract with them for the $178,000 plus the $39,900. The 15% is just for those unknowns, if we have to employ them, and then we wouldn't come back to council for that because you already gave us authorization here.
Okay. All right, council, how would you like to proceed?
I move to approve addendum 1 to the personal services agreement with the Dyer Partnership for services during construction for the pump station 27 offsite force main for its total contract to exceed $250,585, which includes a 15% contingency.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the addendum 1 to the professional services agreement with the Dyer's Partnership Services during construction for the pump station 27 and off-site force main. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes. Okay, city manager's report.
Yes, thank you. So just a few short things I wanted to share last week. Probably maybe have already seen this, but last week we had the opportunity here in this community to meet with Governor Kotek and share some information around several topics: housing, workforce development. But really specifically, she was coming to see what we were doing the executive order work related to homelessness and rehousing. Been a long, almost 2 years, and that grant is coming to a close. So she was kind of checking the shelter piece of that. You might remember the executive order included 32 households and creating 8 new shelter beds. And we've had several iterations of what that shelter might look like, but I think we're finally on a pathway that has support with the state, and we can actually accomplish here. So it was an amazing opportunity. There was 3 individuals who were asked to talk with her. I was fortunate to be one of them. Ann Cook, who's the executive director at the Cookwell Indian Housing Authority, was also invited as she has funding that can also support sheltering here in the community. And Matt Vorderstrass at the Housing Authority, hoping that we create that continuum of housing along in our region here. So we got a full hour and a half of her undivided attention at breakfast at the Pancake Mill. So it was an amazing time. So, and then to share that we got to participate yesterday in a prospect looking at our area. It's not in the city limits, but we have to recognize if something great happens here, we're all going to probably benefit. It's at Terminal 1 GP site. It sounds really promising. Wait to see, I guess, but it did put a plug on some services that we might be able to provide to them at that site, so potentially could help. It was great to sit at a table of community members who were driven to work together to make something happen here. All kind of focused on the good of the community. So it was just a really great experience. And again, really thrilled to be invited to sit there.
Nicole, can you explain what Terminal 1 is for people who may not know?
Yeah, it's the GP site, which is in Brookhaven. It's been vacant for, 5, 7, 10 years. And there's been some prospects over the years, just nothing really solidified. So it did sound promising. Still working on vetting some things out, both us and the port. It's a port property, so.
I was curious, it didn't necessarily come up yesterday, but does the potential new rules with FEMA, I mean, could that potentially make this project not viable?
I guess I would lean into what Chelsea thinks, but I would presume so. It could be a possibility.
So I don't know the details on this project, but my assumption would be it's large enough that they're going to be working with the federal agencies already to do permitting. And that piece in and of itself covers what would be required of FEMA that is new to the standard average Joe. So I don't think it would have an impact that would be a barrier. That's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, I think FEMA buyout is in flux for multiple reasons, but I know there was a lawsuit and that's been put on hold because things are changing in FEMA and how they're proceeding. So I think there might be a reevaluation. it's still out there, but I think it's not going to be pursued, I guess, Chelsea, the way that we interpreted it was going to be, so.
Nicole, just for clarification, you're not allowed to share who the prospect is that correct?
It's not that far enough along. They've asked to not, share
just
that.
wanted-
Yeah, I just wanted to, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure in case people keep using prospect, so thank you.
Yes. And then the last kind of thing I wanted to share, just kind of in follow-up, and spoke about this a little bit earlier today, was things that are happening in this community. We hear that there's not a lot going on, but it's a busy weekend of community events. Special Olympics will be here this weekend on the SWAC campus. The opening ceremony is Saturday at 9:45. So, I'm not sure which events they have there, but it's great that they're coming here to this community. I think, and I hope I don't steal somebody else's conversation on this, but Front Street Bike Works has Block Party coming up now. I think it's this weekend as well, Saturday. And Shakespeare Park is, I think, their first event is Saturday and Sunday. So it's a busy weekend. There are many things to do. It's also might rain, but that shouldn't discourage us because we live in Oregon and it rains, right?
It does.
Yeah. So that's what I have.
All right, thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, to piggyback a little bit off of Nicole, I want to share that the Southwestern Oregon Workforce Investment Board was awarded $750,000 by the Higher Educating Coordinating Council, which comes directly from the Governor's Statewide Activities Grant Program. I heard Governor Kotek asked about it specifically, so pretty cool. It's going to support construction trades and local construction jobs, and in partnership with Umpqua Community College and Southwestern Oregon Community College. So we're pretty excited.
Great. Also, where's your new office?
Right by Marshfield. I should have the address.
On 7th Street, it used to be a Briggs facility, and then his daughter, so I'm sure,
Yeah, come by, say hi.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephanie?
I don't really have too much. I do want to let you know that I did attend on behalf of council, represented council, was asked to be at the grand reopening of Walmart on Friday of last week. And their corporate people and mostly regional, and all of their employees, 320 people they employ at that facility were there for the grand reopening, and it was an exciting time. It was an $8 million investment they made in that property to digitize some stuff and, use technology. But just talked about how they invest in their people and help them grow within the organization, but also just providing employment for a lot of folks. And the employees were excited and thrilled and happy to be in the spotlight for that investment that they made. And I hope I did a good job of representing the city.
I'm sure you did a good job, and thank you for doing that. Lucinda?
I was in Malawi County last week representing through Travel Oregon as my last name as chair, and I was reminded as I was in that small community. We talk a lot about working together, and our county is just small towns that work really well together. I'm just proud of the work that we do here. It's a great get there, but I think we work really hard start our communities to try to do good work. So, as mentioned at the commission in regards to his work to advocate for transient lodging tax dollars. I think you've heard me say it as nauseum that is a $14.3 billion industry in the state. Budgets are tight and people are looking for opportunities to find safety and transient lodging tax dollars on it's appreciated that this council was a city that positioned that, and I for all of his work. It sounds like the port also stepped up and communicated the opposition using transient lodging tax dollars in a different way. So again, thank you to this council. Thank you to everybody. That is all I have.
Thanks, Lucinda. And Lucinda, taking on the chair of Travel Brain was a big task, and it's appreciated. You know, it's nice that our local representatives are in these positions and definitely are qualified. And I think that she might have set them straight in some ways, and I know that she did a great job. So thank you, Lucinda. Troy.
I don't have a lot, just a little commentary, I suppose. Tonight we made the proclamation for Juneteenth, and this is an amazing country, and it does have a large capacity to heal. And there's still opportunities, so many opportunities in these countries to be successful. And when we take a minute to step out and acknowledge a group like that, we're not setting them above or separate from anyone else. We're simply stating that this is a segment of our population that may have felt marginalized, and it's a welcoming sentiment to say there is room at the table for everyone. And it doesn't mean one is better than the other, but we are a great country and we do have room, a seat at the table for everyone.
Very well said. Thank you. Anything else?
Sorry, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Carmen.
I don't have much of substance, mostly just excited to see the Oregon Coast Music Association lineup. That's always a fun time of year for me. I've been a part of OCMA in various capacities for a couple decades now. And if you haven't been to an orchestra concert or part of the Oregon Coast Music Association, I highly recommend that you get a chance, take the chance to do that. The orchestra that comes through town every year is absolutely spectacular. And this community really makes it happen by housing all of the orchestra musicians. And there's a lot of support throughout the community for this. And there's a reason why. So I would just really encourage people to come and check it out. Also, school is out now. So to echo Dean Lundy's and Mike Powder's comments, we need to slow down as much as possible. I've been seeing a lot more kids out and about Mingus Park and various places. And so it's just a reminder to, watch out for people walking around, and, we're all just trying to traverse this community as best we can and as safely as we can. Also, the new recycling program. I'm so stoked as a business owner. Trying to get everybody on board with recycling the same things is just a constant struggle. And I'm always building all these little flyers for what you're supposed to recycle and what you can't. And now that they have that, I'm so happy that they've finally done that. It feels like it's been a long time coming. So just want to say thank you to our local haulers here and processors for doing all that work. I realize it's a big project to undertake, but it's something that I've really wanted to be unified as a state for a long time, and I'm glad to see that it's happening. So other than that, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, this recycling thing, Carmen, I remember we were talking about, I don't know how many years ago, too many years ago, but we talked about plastic bags and we're talking about styrofoam and we're talking about, and now here it is. So it's all in the works and happening. So it's great.
Funny that even their haulers are like, please no plastic bags.
I know. I just wanted to mention that we had the mayor's walk today, and I was fortunate to have Harv was there, and also Karen Forsythe, who was suggested that we use the Boy Scout cabin, which is now the picture.
Mingus Park Community Building.
Yes, and the Coke, we had Coke who also became a historical building, which is wonderful. We have Christina, who does our grants, was there, and Nicole was busy today, so she stepped in for her. We also had Matt Hamilton, who's the North Bend City Councilor, stepping in for Jessica, who's on vacation. And so we took a walk. There's the path that goes down into Mingus Park. We walked around Mingus Park and back up. I didn't even know the trail was there, but it was great and it was wonderful. The facility is getting some work done. We got a grant to fix the foundation, and Christine is working on more grants, the roof, and some other things that need to be done. It's $50 to rent this facility for all day. And so Karen was there pushing hard for us to remember that, and maybe she'll have a council meeting there. I doubt it. But anyway, it's a great spot. And if you get a chance, check it out.
Watch the sound and audio.
The other thing, let's see, I think I saw on Facebook, and I hope it's true. Didn't you have an anniversary, Carmen? It's 11 years? It's 11 years for Seven Devils?
For seven, it's actually in October. We're coming up on 12. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you saw that, but there is going to be a celebration at the community building, the Mingus Park Community Building. So
Yeah.
definitely
The
for that.
28th, right?
It's on the 28th and it's open to the public. It's a open house kind of thing. So we just got status as a National Historic Place registration. So that was a big hurdle for us, but that's really going to help us with a lot of grant funding. So
Yeah, so it's really cool that this build, I remember, I know I was mentioning this today. I mean, at one point in time, I hate to mention these things, back a ways when I was on the council, we talked about even selling that, trying to, dispose of it to somebody else, but I'm glad we didn't. It's a great history to have in our community. So anyway, the other thing that was mentioned is collaboration, and I just can't emphasize enough how wonderful it is that we collaborate and continue to do that, because we can be so much more successful in doing that. So I'm going to end on that note for the council meeting. I'm going to adjourn it, but we do have an urban renewal meeting. Yes.
Sorry, I'm saying the skate park, I believe is supposed to be open tomorrow, but I think there might be skaters on it tonight. Again, speaking to that collaboration, those are people who came in to donate time and, expertise to help get that back online. So
I heard from a person who is no longer allowed to skate that actually a previously used tennis court is amazing for skating. So I think they're going to love it.
yes.
All right.
Yeah, special shout out to Tristan Reeser for doing all that work. He's done an amazing amount of work out there, all volunteer. So thank you, Tristan.
And volunteers help us all succeed. All right, that's it. I'll adjourn the council meeting and